Hi everyone, Tim the Plane Man here, and welcome to Plane Time Painted Eagle Edition. Look what I got from my good friend Jason at QioTek Aerospace. This arrived yesterday and I've just been dying to get inside and find out what he sent me. So stick around, join me, we'll open the box, we'll see something very, very interesting inside. So look over here. This is a special little gift package from Jason. Thanks, Jason. Thank you so much. Let's see what extra little goodies we've got inside the box, as well as the big thing that we're going to look at in a minute. What we have here, and I can tell you right away that this is going to be, and it'll take just a second or so. And this is another Zealot H743 ArduPilot flight controller. As you know, I've used the QioTek Zealot H743 flight controllers on several planes, and this one is a Zealot H743 Standard Edition, which will drive a, could it be a quad plane? We shall see. It's got all the goodies in the flight controller box. I have a separate unboxing of the previous time I received the QioTek Zealot H743 flight controller. You can check out the video here and it will tell you all about the details about what you get. So, I have a flight controller. Thanks, Jason. What else have I got? Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's see what's under the covers here. Okay, I see carbon fiber. There's definitely carbon fiber here. I see propellers. Well. They're big propellers. Look at that. I mean, let's just carefully take a look at everything here. So, very solid carbon fiber rods. Put those carefully to one side. And another carbon fiber rods. These will be, I'm sure, for tail booms with some nice quality fittings, carefully cut out. We'll see where this one goes, because I'm sure once we get a little further into it, it will be obvious where all those pieces fit. All right, let's see if I can get this out. Okay, here we have, this is the beginning of what's going to be very, very interesting. Look at that. This is one wing of a painted eagle. This plane is called a painted eagle, and it has some interesting clip-on attachments here. Oh, the boom, I see the boom clips on here. Okay, so that will be some kind of clip-on arrangement here. There's a fairly solid plastic piece that I believe will be used so I can clip the wing onto the fuselage. All of the attachments, the control surfaces, and even the servos are pre-fitted. And I see in here, a little hard to see, but that is absolutely a Metal Gear servo. I don't know the specs of the servo, but I love to see the metal there for these kinds of planes. It'll be amazing. And I'll tell you something. This looks like foam, and I don't know specifically what kind of foam it is, but that is really solid and stiff, and that will make a really good firm wing for this plane. I'll put this way over here. All right, so this will be wing number 2. So there we have wing number 2. Okay, so 2 wings. And the wingspan, well, let's see. I mean, that's close to 1 meter, I think. So we're going to be around 2 meters for this plane. So we got another piece of carbon fiber rod. Figure out where that goes later. So I think I have all of the pieces from the top. Now let's see the fuselage. Wow, what a pretty looking plane. Look at this. Look at this. Now this is why they call it the Painted Eagle. It's beautifully painted in blue and white. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop it out, quickly show you, and then I'll finish the box, and then I'll come back to the fuselage in a minute because I just don't have room for it. Okay, so just give me a second. Okay, what have we got here? Here we'll have the tail assembly, it looks like. Yeah, here we have, now I'm not sure how this works, whether it's a V-tail or a horizontal tail, but the vertical stabilizer and the rudder is articulated, so that's good. It has quick release fittings, beautiful, and again the same really solid fiber. And look, I don't know if you can see it, but what I can see is that this has a carbon fiber rod running down the rudder, and I really down the horizontal stabilizer, and hard to tell. I can't quite see because it's blue. Can't tell if there's anything in there, but it's very stiff. And the hinges, I'm not sure how it's hinged, but it's absolutely not just foam hinges. So this is really, really, really nicely made. Over there, of course, we need 2 of those. Well, not of course, but typically, if this is a tail boom type plane, there we have 2 rudders. Oh, I remember from the fuselage, we'll look at it in the middle. It has a vertical stabilizer. So actually, I was wrong about these. These are not vertical stabilizers. These are horizontal stabilizers, and these are elevators. And so they're separate elevators, and as I can see, there's a separate servo for each elevator. So there's 2 elevators, and each has its own servo. And again, if I look in there, yes, digital, it's right in there. And if you can see the metal piece on the end of the black there, right inside the hole. We'll have to see. Now, I'm pretty sure this belongs with the flight controller. This absolutely belongs with the flight controller. This is just a regular piece of double-sided tape. I think that's everything. So that's the box. Now we're going to pull the fuselage back onto the table, and we're going to open that up and have a look inside the fuselage. Wow, just wow. Not only is this plane big, but it's also, I don't know, ARF? Maybe even more. It's more than just almost ready to fly. Like, I didn't realize this when I opened the box, but look, these elevators, horizontal stabilizers, literally just clip in. And it's ready to go. Like there's click, click, there we go. Horizontal stabilizer. I have to make sure and check everything out, but wow. The wings have clip-ons here. Now I do see that I have a little bit of wiring to organize here to make that, to set that up, but it's not going to take a lot to get this plane in the air. I am really, really, really excited about, honestly, how quickly I think we should be able to get a flight controller and some electronics in this plane and get it ready to fly. But I'm going to move the wings out of the way, because what I want to do now is look at this fuselage, because I tell you what, I am drooling over what I think I'm going to see in terms of the amount of space that I'll have for control systems like the flight controller, the Raspberry, the Orange Pi, and potentially other equipment that might be able to install inside this plane. So let me move these wings out of the way. Okay, you know what? I'm going to start at the front. There are 4 separate hatches on the plane. I don't see a manual, so I think we can figure it out. 4 separate hatches. Let's start at the front and we'll go back and see where each hatch is going to work. So, hatch number 1. First of all, a very nice clip. One of the most important things about clip is, although sometimes they can be a little fragile, these look to be really nicely well designed. It's often way better than having a magnet, because magnets can interfere with the electronics, and so a clip like this won't. Oh, and not only do I have a lot of space, I have a bunch of gear here. So I have already installed battery straps for a pretty huge battery. I'm going to have to figure out what battery I need for this guy. Or shall we say lady, I'm not sure. It's a painted eagle, so I'm not sure what that'll be. But look at this. This is, oh, there's a manual. Okay. I wasn't planning to, but I'm going to have to open this bag, because at first it just looks like a bunch of wires. There'll be a lot of wiring to do here, but there's also, oh, and there's also, what is this? Oh my goodness, look at this. There's a pitot tube lead already pre-wired through to the front of the plane with a pitot tube connection here, and that's aluminium, so nice and solid, that plugs into the front of the plane, and that's pre-installed with a little holder for putting it when you're not using it. So that's great. But on top of that, now we've got a bag of wires and connectors. Okay, so like I said, I wouldn't necessarily open this because it's just wires and connectors, but I think I can see a manual in here. And I want to open that up and see if there's any useful information in here that might help. Okay, so a bag full of cables. Let's see if we can open this up. And I really want to get not just for the cables, but like I say, I see a manual. Okay, let's see what we've got in terms of a manual. So this is a hobby, okay, it has a hobby wing multi-rotor brushless electronic speed controller. It's called an X-Rotor Pro 40 amp, or it's the X-Rotor 50 amp. So this is a manual for either of them. So this is going to be the flight controller, or the speed controller for the plane. This is just basically showing how that connects to the other components. So it's Hobby Wing, okay? So name brand, part of out of the box with this, and this one will be, that's another user manual for the same thing. So in here then, what we're gonna have, this is some pretty thick wire that will be using XT90 connectors to connect the battery, and I see this seems to be some kind of power distribution board. There's marks here for power in and some power out markings. That's a really nice way to do it. Creating a wiring harness for a plane is complex and tricky, and it looks to me like this is a nice design to make it easier. Honestly, I would prefer if it had been pre-wired and pre-soldered, but this is maybe a good interim. So here we have four of these Hobby Wing ESCs. So that will be for the, we'll say 1, 2, and I'll say 3, and then we have, there'll be a fourth one in here somewhere. Be sure. Nope, there it is. Oh yes, there it is. Nope, that's not it. Oh, I only have 3. That's fascinating. All right, well, okay, lesson. for everybody. Although the plane itself is physically assembled and ready to go, I have work to do. There's a lot of wiring and connecting that I'm going to have to do to get this plane ready to fly. It will take, this is not going to be 5 minutes work, and it's going to take a little bit of effort in figuring things out to figure out how to connect everything together. It's all here, some good quality components. For example, take a look at the servo, the control rods. Every single one of them is ball link joints, and all the hardware is there for ball link joints for all of the connectors here. Good quality stuff. Oh, okay, here we go. Here we have our zip ties, which is my favorite way, as you might have seen from my previous build, for connecting various wiring and running it tidally through the plane. So they actually include the zip ties and just general wiring and connectors. So what we have here, these are going to be, look like DB9s, or is it DB6s actually? These are going to be the connectors that plug the wings in, the wiring in for the wings. So what I'll be expected to do is to solder wires that come in from the wings to the connector here, and then connect that in there. So what I'm going to do is just put everything back in the box, in the bag, and move on to the next. Interesting, there's only 3 flight control. Oh, that's 50. That's 50. That's 50. So 3 50 amp ESCs. How's that going to work? Oh, have a quick look down in here into the battery bay at the front. That is, I mean, it's huge, and there's room for a nice big battery there. I'm thinking, you know, obviously 10, maybe 16,000 milliamp hour battery. Probably could look at doing lithium ion. It seems like there's room, a lot of room actually in here for other things. It's interesting that the battery bay here is completely isolated. If you look over here, there's a wall. It's a foam wall that separates this part of the plane from the back. So this is for the battery. There's possibly some room at the front, but we'll see what else we can fit in the rest of the plane. So this clips on here, clips on, Bob's your uncle, and let's go for hatch number 2. What's behind door number 2? There's more stuff in here. Okay, oh my goodness, look at this. Okay, so on top of just a huge cavernous space for mounting, well, I'm not sure what. I mean, it's potentially the flight controller may go in here. This is a camera bay. This is absolutely for mounting a camera, a downward facing camera. And already on the top of my mind, I have 2 ideas about that. Not sure which one we'll go with, but that will be very interesting. And it's mounted right under the center of gravity, which is great because that means you can run with or without the camera, and the plane will basically still balance. So that's kind of nice. I see I have wires coming here through from the back. So I'm going to guess that there's equipment at the back that needs the wires connected, and somehow or other the wires are going to probably need to thread through from the front cabinet here, and I see that there's a basically that's what that's intended to be there. So these wires will be going through there, connecting to somehow to the battery. Alright, so what's in this container? Let's see what we've got. Wow, there's a lot here. This is huge. There's just so much to this. I don't even know what this can be. Oh, motors. Okay, so here we have, it's called an S5. I don't see anything that says its size. So this is an S5 motor. This is a QuadPlane. So there should ideally be 4 motors here, and I think that probably they'll end up being the same. 1, 2, because look at the back here. If you haven't noticed already, there is a forward facing or a rear facing motor at the back of the plane. This motor is pre-installed, and I'm guessing the wiring is pre-installed too, because there doesn't seem to be any way to get at the wiring. I don't see anything on the motor that tells me what size it is. It's a reasonable size motor, and that will be a pusher. So unlike the VT Bird, which is a tilt rotor, this is going to be 4 upward lifting motors and then a separate pusher motor, which is the configuration that we typically call a 4+1. So what will happen is that the upward motors will stop spinning when the plane flies forwards, and the back motor will come on. If it's reversible, and these hobby wing ESCs, if we can configure that especially the ESC for the back motor to be reversible, then I think we can do things like use it as a brake, so that when the plane flies in and needs to transition to vertical flight, you can actually spin that rear motor backwards to slow the plane down really quickly. Okay, we've got 2 different motors here. Now I see what's going on. Okay, so this made me wonder. I wasn't sure why we had only 3 ESCs here, and with a QuadPlane and a 4+1, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 motors, 5 motors. With 3 ESCs is not enough. Well, what we've got here is a pre-assembled motor and ESC, and it looks a lot to me like it's the same ESC, but it's this whole motor assembly that clearly is meant to be threaded onto the rear tail boom is basically pre-assembled with the motor and the ESC kind of all in one piece. It's the same S5 motor, and it's the same, as far as I can see, hobby wing. I can see the word hobby wing on there. Can I see? I can't see whether it says 50 amp because I'll figure that out. But it sure looks a lot like it's the same ESC as these ones, which are hobby wing 50 amp ESCs. So this, okay. Oh, they've just given me one as an example to show you how to do it. Okay, well that's interesting, because here we have, there has to be another ESC then somewhere. So here we have another motor, and what we have here is one where they've fully assembled everything with one of these assemblies that I see over here. So rather than, as far as I can see, rather than giving you a manual, they've given you one to show you how it's going to be assembled, and you're going to have to assemble the others, because there's basically 3 motors and 3 ESCs and one complete assembly to show you how to do it. Okay, show and tell, not a bad idea. It will be, and it's language agnostic. That's actually pretty great. That's quite a user-friendly way to present it. It's, yeah, I can figure out exactly how to install the other motors from having a completed example in front of me. Well, that's hatch number 2. Let's take a look at hatch number 3. What's behind hatch number 3? There's nothing much here except a beautiful space for installing a flight controller. It's so awesome that they've pre-installed this for you, and all you need to do is to put your flight controller right on there and then run the wiring. What a great design. Okay. Let's do door number 4, hatch number 4. Let's see what's behind hatch number 4. Okay, it's built, it's nice, it's solid. We have carbon fiber rod here, which is for running the cables. As far as it's clearly the cable. So I see here already pre-threaded the wires that connect the motor at the back and come through here with bullet connectors pre-installed, and they will connect to the ESC motor wires, so there must be an ESC, and I'm thinking it's in here. And all of the wires for the servo wires that will connect the elevator and rudder are already pre-threaded and running through from, so let's see if we can see this. It's basically all done, and it's really going to be just plugging in as far as I can see. So here we have the servo wires running. Oh yes, they're already connected to run through from the back of the plane through to the front of the plane, and there's nothing much I need to do here. This is, I think, the main reason I need to get in here is just to connect those ESC wires up and then close the hatch, and it's good to go. It's nice and solid. I love that. Reinforcing a plane like this is something that I often have to do, and I won't have to do it with this one. It's just solid as a rock. That's really nicely done. Very, very nicely done. So let's see if there's anything else, because I don't know. Maybe there's something underneath. Let's see what's underneath. Okay. All right. This is worth looking at. So here we have an ESC. And this ESC will be the ESC for the rear motor. I love how this is done, because cooling for an ESC is fundamental. You've got to get good airflow to the ESC. What's happened here is basically the ESC is mounted flush to the base of the fuselage with cooling vents on the base exposed to the airflow on the back. Now let's just quickly look back here and see where that is. Okay, so this in here underneath hatch number 4, this black box here that you can see here, this is actually the ESC, and that's why these wires here are important. These wires here will connect that ESC to the motor, and that is all I'll have to do is plug it in and it'll be ready to go. It's beautiful, and it's a very, very nice design. So there's just one more thing to figure out, and I might as well figure it out while I'm here, since we've got the cameras running, and I don't know, I want to see it. So I want to see it. Hopefully I don't know, maybe you guys want to see it as much as I do. I really want to see how this is going to work. So these are the main booms for attaching the quad motors to the wings. That's what these are. And I see what they've done again. It's the same. We'll show you how to do it once, and then you have to basically just follow the pattern and do it for the others. I see in the bag there are several of these connectors, and so they've just done one, and that shows me how to do it. And then I'll put another one here, and I'll put another one here, and I'll put another one here, and I'll have 4 of those connectors, and they're just clip-on connectors that will clip so that will clip here to the wings. See these clips? Oh yeah, look at that. Really nice. Okay, I'm just going to move the fuselage out of the way so you can see how this will work. Really nice clip-on design. So just look to one wing and one clip here. I'm not sure which way is forward. I'm going to say probably like, probably like this. Let's try it anyway. So what happens is this clip just clips in here, and there you go, the boom's attached, just like that. And so I'll just put in another clip here, and then basically the boom will be able to clip onto the wing, just like that. And I'll just attach to one more to here, and I mean, just another little beautiful design feature that I love to see here. The nuts here are nylon self-locking nuts. So important with a plane like this that even such a fitting like this is solid as a rock and isn't going to come out when vibrations, for example, shake those nuts loose. Those nuts won't come loose. So really nicely done there. So what, and actually every one of them, self-locking nut, all of the nuts are have nylon self-locking, yep, self-locking nut, etc. So I will basically, the last thing is, this is how this is going to go on. How's that going to work? This must be this side, I think. So what will happen is that the servo wire and the power wires will basically have to be installed through the boom like this, and they will come out this hole here. So actually it's probably going to be this end. So they will go on here. As you can see, there's going to be some interesting work to put this together, but it's honestly not going to be that hard. Okay, that was the way to do it. No talking. So the boom will then slide into this assembly, and I think I'm probably going to have to loosen these nuts, and the motor will be attached to the end of the boom here, and there will be the same thing will happen at the far end as well. So these yeah, that's really quite nice. That's how that will work. So each one of these will have one of these fittings that matches one of these, and then that will basically just slide in there, and I'll need to fish the wires out and then attach them to run them through here and out through the connectors and into the main fuselage. So that's basically how it will work. QuadPlane. Oh, let's see. Can I show it? I think I can show it. It's the other way around. That's got to be the back. There we go. So that's how that's going to install. The motor is attached to these assemblies that will go at the front and the back of the wing. I have to figure out which is the longest end, but I've got a funny feeling I've got this backwards. Doesn't matter, it's the same concept. One motor on each end of the boom, and the boom just clips in. Just really nice design. Really nice. So a really interesting concept. Instead of giving you pages of installation instructions, perhaps in a language that you don't understand, all they've done is pre-built one piece, in each case, and then given you a pattern that you need to follow, which is really simple and straightforward. This shows me how to install a motor. This one over here shows me how to install the clips. Really nice concept. Really smart. So I'm really impressed. This is a complete, ready-to-go airframe for quite a large VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing quad plane. Not much you have to do out of the box, and as far as the physical airframe goes, almost nothing. I mean, a couple of clips. It's ready to go in the sense of now I have all of this space to populate. I have, or you have, all of this space to populate with whatever you want to put in, including a huge bay here for payload like cameras or any kind of other equipment. Look at the size of this. My hand, both hands are completely lost inside this space underneath the center of gravity that isn't where you put the battery, and isn't where you put the flight controller, and isn't where you put the ESCs or any other equipment. It's completely available, this huge piece of space for payload, which is really quite amazing. A very nice design. And I think it might be possible to fit some payload at the front too, but the design here gives you a huge amount of payload in the middle of the plane. It's really, really well designed. So if you're like me and you've got some ideas about some interesting things you want to do with electronics and flight controllers and connecting that all together into a quad plane, then this is perfect, because I don't have to mess with the airframe and the physical structure and worry about whether the plane is physically good to go. This plane is solid as a rock and ready to fly, and what I can do is focus on what I think is the fun part, and if that's what you want, you can do that too. How to get some really interesting electronics running into this plane. Honestly, I don't know if it's coming through. I'm over the top excited about what I'm going to be able to do with this plane. So stay tuned. It will be very, very interesting, and I'll try and get it into the air as soon as I possibly can, and there'll be videos on Tim the Plane Man. Stay tuned, like, subscribe. There will be more. Tim the Plane Man, over and out.